All right, so now we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from Stiff Upper Lip. Here's the intro. So this is a really cool bluesy riff in the key of A. And what's interesting about this lick is I'm going to use a combination of the pick along with the middle finger and the third finger on the picking hand. So I'm going to start off with the melody note on the 8th fret of the B string. I'm going to play that with my middle finger. I'm going to also play at the same time the open A string, and I'm going to bend up slightly from the 8th fret of the B string. So it sounds like this. Then also with the middle finger, I'm going to then grab the 5th fret of the high E string, play that along with the open A string. Now 8 to 5 on the B string, and I'll strike the open A string along with each of those notes. So far we've done this. Now we're going to play the open A string along with the 5th fret of the high E string. Now I'm going to play the open A string along with the 7th fret of the G string, 7th fret of the B string. So I'll use the middle finger on the G string, 3rd finger on the B string. Now open A along with the 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the B string, and hammer on to the 6th fret of the G string. Strike the open A 2 more times. Now play the open A along with the 7th fret of the G string, 7th fret of the B string. Open A string by itself, and then open A string along with the 5th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string. And if we put all of that together, that gives us one round of this main riff. So let's try that together now. I'll count you in. We'll start on the downbeat of 1, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try it 2 times, a little quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now during the song, we're going to play this riff 2 times for the intro, and then the vocals come in. We'll do it 3 times. After doing this riff 3 times, we're going to add this phrase, which is simply the open A string 2 times, then strike the open A along with the 7th fret of the D string. And then there's a break, and then the rest of the band kicks in. So let's try this riff 3 times with that ending. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's the intro for the song. Now the verse kicks in, so the drums are in along with the bass. And we're going to start this riff, we're going to play the same riff, but we're going to play this without the very first note. So the beat gets turned around a little bit. So the first time we play this riff when the drums are in the song, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So during the main riff previously, we started off with the 8th fret of the B string. Here we're going to skip that and start right away with the 5th fret of the high E string. And then when we get to the end of the riff, I'm also going to play this with a pick now, just to play a little more aggressively because we're fighting with the bass and the drum, so it's easier to keep up with them if we play with the pick. We can play a little louder there. So I'll play the last 2 chords with the pick. So once the drums come in, here's the first round. 1, 2, 3, 4. And from this point on, we're going to play this riff 6 more times, but we'll go back to the original phrase where we start from the 8th fret of the B string. So now I'll play the first 2 riffs of the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to play that main riff an additional 5 times, the very first riff that we learned. So in all, the verse will be this riff 7 times. Okay, the first time only is slightly different. So let's play the entire verse now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's what Angus is playing during the verse. Malcolm's going to play a simplified version of this, which sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's break that down. We're going to start off with an A chord, but rather than playing the open A string, I'm simply going to play on the 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string. Now I'll strike the 5th fret of the D string, open A string. So far we've done this. Now back to the A chord, 5th fret of the D string, 3rd fret to the open A. So far we've done this. Now I'm going to shift positions, play a D5 chord, 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret of the D string, 7th fret of the G string, open A string, followed by a C5 chord. So far we've done this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll strike the 5th fret of the D string and start the riff all over again. And we'll play this 7 times. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's a tag at the end of the verse where we're going to go to a D chord for 2 measures. And then we're back into the main riff. So why don't we try adding that tag now? I'll play that verse riff that Malcolm was playing 2 times, and then we'll go into the 2 measures of the D chord. 1, 2, 3, 4.